This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Roger Stone Show. This past week, the FBI finally admitted that there were as many as 274 plainclothes FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th. My own January 6th experience is a strange one. I spoke to a public rally on the night of January 5th. Actually, on January 6th, I never left the grounds of my hotel. That despite the fact that ABC News tried desperately through the tactic of guilt by association to somehow tie me to the illegal events at the Capitol. Let me say it one more time. Any claim that I knew in advance about, participated in, or condoned any illegal activity on January 6th at the Capitol or any place else or at any other time is categorically false. And there is, despite the best efforts of ABC News and the New York Times, no email, text message, encrypted message, phone call, witness, or evidence to the contrary. What I do find strange is the fact that in my hotel room, after watching President Trump speak on the Ellipse, where I was also not present, my hotel phone rang, and there were two Secret Service agents in the lobby of the Willard Hotel, where, by the way, I never was in any so-called war room. If there was a war room in the Willard Hotel, I am unaware of it, to tell me that they had been instructed to accompany me to the Capitol, which was very strange because I never had any plans to go to the Capitol. And indeed, I did not go to the Capitol, much to the consternation of these two Secret Service agents who were quite angry when I refused their offer to escort me someplace I never planned to go. Therefore, I have often wondered about the events of that day. I do know that Enrique Tarrio, who I do know, was framed for seditious conspiracy when essentially the government sent a document to him on Telegram, a memo about how to inhabit or to occupy a government building, a document that he never even opened, but which served as the basis for his indictment and conviction for seditious conspiracy. Then there is the also false claim that I met with members of the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers on the night before January 6th. That's also categorically false. However, Joshua James, who is a member of the Proud Boys, did testify before a New York City administrative trial of my good friend Officer Sal Greco that he never discussed with me, and I was unaware of the activities of the Oath Keepers on January 6th. So here it is, just to say it out loud. Anybody who wants to make an assertion to the contrary is welcome to get sued, because I'll do it in a heartbeat. I am anxious now to talk to Chief Stephen Sund. He's a 30-year enforcement leader, nationally recognized expert in crisis response, incident command, and national special security events. He is a former chief of the U.S. Capitol Police, a longtime commander with the Metropolitan Police Department of Washington, D.C., and he has led some of the most high-stakes security operations in modern history. He coordinated Washington, D.C.'s response on 9/11. He directed the responses to multiple active shooter incidents, including the 2009 Holocaust Memorial Museum attack, the 2012 Family Research Council shooting, and the 2013 Navy Yard mass shooting, as well as the attempted assassination of at least one Republican member of Congress. Chief Sund resigned after the events of January 6th. His book on this, by the way, stands as the definitive account of what happened. His book is entitled Courage Under Fire. You can find it on Amazon or any place where books are sold. That book has become the definitive account cited in congressional investigations, entered into the congressional record, and described by members of Congress as the definitive after reaction of that day. Chief Sund, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure to be on today.
So let's get down to it because our time is limited. Were you surprised by this news that hundreds of FBI agents were embedded throughout the crowd on January 6th, given the fact that FBI Director Christopher Wray seems to obfuscate, denied any knowledge of this, said he didn't know if there were any, then couldn't put a number on it? Looks to me like he may have the same problem that James Comey has.
I got to tell you, when the report came out, my phone absolutely blew up. And one, I'd like to say I appreciate the work of the investigative reporters that keep covering this and getting to the truth of what's going on, as well as the work of Chairman Loudermilk in making this report available to everybody. You know, I've said from the very beginning that I have no doubt that there's going to be some government agents in the crowd. I would have been surprised. You know, any big event in Washington, D.C. like that, you can have members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force that are out there monitoring the crowd, especially now that we learned some of the bad actors we know the FBI was tracking coming to this. So I'm not surprised. But what I am surprised about is the huge number. You know, 274, that is huge. But especially when you take into consideration the evening of January 6th, when I'm collecting information, because we had a location there we were supposed to go check in and get deployed from, that I was told we had 55 that came over from WFO, the Washington field office, to assist me. I think what's important is to kind of dig into this report and really get a clear understanding of how many of these agents came or were pre-deployed, where they're in the crowd, that were monitoring the crowd, that were doing anything, concerning with the crowd, versus those that may have responded to my request for support. Because I did call over to the FBI. I did speak with Steve D'Antuono, the head of the Washington field office, as well as Dave Bowditch, the number 2 at the FBI, requesting assistance shortly after 3 p.m. You're really getting a clear understanding which of those agents that they talk about in the 274 came to my assistance versus those that may have already been pre-deployed in the crowd or around the Capitol. And the sad thing is this report doesn't give that clarity.
There's always been this ongoing controversy about whether the president did or did not offer 10,000 National Guard troops. The president insists that he has. I've seen all of the documents put forward by Kash Patel, now the director of the FBI, which support that claim, yet Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser continue to this day to deny they were offered the support of the National Guard. What is your take, Chief?
Well, I can tell you, being 30 years in law enforcement, I'd like to work in the area of fact, and what I'm about to tell you is fact. One, I wasn't in the Oval Office when the president discussed that and offered up the 10,000 troops, but I can tell you for a fact, on January 3rd, I requested National Guard support twice, and by law I have to go through the Capitol Police Board, which then has to go and get concurrence from congressional leadership. I was denied twice in the morning of January 3rd. In the afternoon of January 3rd, early afternoon, my office received a call from the Pentagon, from the program director for what's called DSCA, the Defense Support for Civil Authorities, to offer National Guard support. So I can tell you for a fact, we got National Guard support offered to us from Trump's Pentagon in the early afternoon on January 3rd, and I had to decline it because by law I was not given that authorization to accept it from the Capitol Police Board, specifically from the House Sergeant at Arms, that denied it because he was concerned for optics of the National Guard on Capitol grounds. And then the Senate Sergeant at Arms, Mike Stinger, also denied it just in concurrence with Paul Irving. So I can tell you for a fact that we were offered National Guard support, and by law I had to turn it down.
As I think most Americans know, Ashley Babbitt, who was a decorated Air Force veteran, was shot and killed without warning. She was unarmed, menacing no one. And rather than being prosecuted, the man who killed her, Officer Michael Byrd, was given a medal and was widely hailed as some kind of hero. Chief Sund, your opinion of this entire incident?
So let me tell you what I know and everything I know about that case. I have no problem answering questions, but I'm going to answer them as best my ability. During the shooting, when we had the shooting occurred, again, like I said, I had requested National Guard support twice on the 3rd. When the riot got out of control at 12:53 p.m., 12:58 p.m., I'm still required by law to get permission to bring in any resources from my federal resources for my men and women. 12:58, I make the first request to the Capitol Police Board, the House and Senate Sergeant Arms, and Paul Irving, who's the House Sergeant Arms, says he's going to run up the chain. So I'm just giving the background. 12:58, he says he's going to run up the chain. I'm seeing the fighting happen on the West Front. I then called Mike Stinger and said, hey, I really need approval to bring in federal resources because we got National Guard within eyesight of the Capitol. He won't approve it. He's waiting for Paul Irving to come back and approve it. For the next 71 minutes, I make 32 phone calls. 11 of those are repeat phone calls to find out where my request is for National Guard support, and I start calling other law enforcement, bringing them in. So finally at 2:09, I get approval to bring in National Guard support. At 2:34, I have to get on a phone call with the Pentagon to make my claim about why I need National Guard support. Not that they can't just see it on TV. And what I'm getting at, so then at 2:43, we have the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. So that afternoon, we ended up sending one of our internal affairs over. MPD is the one that comes over because it's now a homicide. We found out shortly thereafter it's going to be homicide. Does the investigation, which is going to be a long investigation. That evening, we get in the resources. 17 law enforcement agencies came to my support because I couldn't get approval through the Capitol Police Board, so I started calling every chief I knew. So that evening, we're dealing with the fallout of getting the Electoral College under control. The next morning, I'm forced to resign, and I'm stripped out of my office by Speaker Pelosi, who goes on national TV and lies about me on national TV. So what I'm getting at is this. An investigation such as that, the statements, anything like that is going to take time. I was stripped out of my office before any of that was done and before I had a chance to look at anything. So anything I know about that shooting is the exact same thing you know about that shooting.
All right, I think that is a more than truthful answer. It always bothered me that the giant Capitol doors that can only be opened from the inside seem to have been opened by someone. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's a real interesting question because I think you're referring to the video where you see the guy, he pushes on it. Looks like he's a demonstrator. He's inside. He pushes on it and it doesn't open. Correct? Is that the one? And he turns around. It looks like at the camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Chances are what you're dealing with there is what's called a fire door. It has a 15 or 30 second delay. They push on it so people can escape a fire inside the building. He pushes on it. It stays locked. He turns around, then he hears it snap, which is the fire delay unlocking the door. So I think that's the explanation for that one.
All right, fair enough. I must say the January 6th committee proceedings are one of the greatest circuses that I've ever seen. Jamie Raskin basically said 2 days before that hearing that the committee would prove absolute proof of my involvement of the illegal events of January 6th. They produced a bunch of videos that when you run them through a AI software detection program, I actually ran it through 3, you can see that they were all completely and totally fabricated. They matched images with things I never said and vice versa. Then they mistakenly leaked the wrong videos where they used the same soundtrack but different visuals to CNN. Of course, I can't prove all of this today because, well, the committee conveniently destroyed all of their records when Democrats lost the majority in the House. I'm glad to see that the Speaker has appointed a new January 6th committee. On the other hand, I don't think people who were complicit in the illegal actions surrounding the January 6th committee should be allowed to participate other than perhaps in the witness chair. You're listening to the Roger Stone Show here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Our guest is Chief Stephen Sund, whose book remains the definitive account of what happened that day. I highly recommend that to you. We'll be back with more of Chief Sund just on the other side. Don't go away.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back. We're talking to Chief Stephen A. Sund. Stephen Sund was the 10th chief of the U.S. Capitol Police beginning in 2019. His tenure was defined by significant responsibility in a complex security environment, culminating on January 6, 2021, when he led the department through a rapidly evolving crisis at the Capitol. Chief Sund faced intelligence gaps, delayed and denied federal support, and systemic failures. He provided decisive leadership that day under extreme pressure, coordinating officers and resources to resolve the situation. It's important to note in December of 2024, a bipartisan congressional subcommittee report took the rare step of completely exonerating Chief Sund by name, a powerful vindication of his integrity and his leadership, and we're honored to have us with us here today. Chief Sund, we only have a few minutes left here, but I guess the most difficult thing here in the aftermath of this is the growing evidence that this was a planned false flag event. First of all, from a political point of view, any supporter of Donald Trump who thought that breaking into the U.S. Capitol would somehow be advantageous or politically beneficial to what I believe to this day to be a legitimate effort to examine the results of the 2020 election would demonstrate a lack of political sophistication and makes very, very little sense. Then secondarily is just common sense. If people were going to stage an insurrection to try to overturn the U.S. government, they probably would be armed. Yet, based on everything I know, virtually nobody who entered the Capitol, I think nobody who entered the Capitol was armed, and there were no arms found in the people outside the Capitol. Your observations, Chief Sund.
So a couple of quick things. Let me, if I can, right before we went to break, you had talked about the video being changed on the select committee. I know for a fact, and it's already come out, that all our internal cameras, none of them have audio. They imported riotous sounds into that to make it sound more dramatic. So that's a known fact. So going back to some of the stuff that you brought up, we did recover actually one handgun inside. There were, I think MPD made a couple of arrests, and we made one arrest on the exterior for people that were carrying pistols without a license that day. And I talk about it, and you see it in the report from the FBI, just the political bias that many of these agents were bringing up that they've seen infiltrate the FBI. And I talk about it in the book, the disparate treatment when you look at the 2020 protests down around the White House and across the country. But let's just look at the White House. 3 days of protests, more cops were injured, more property damage down there, and all arrests, all prosecutions were dropped, let alone you look at what happened at the Capitol. I think you had 1,700 people arrested in that, and it was a 4.5-hour riot. Disparate treatment there, and I don't think it's fair. I've been a cop in D.C. for 30 years. Some of these people that were just trespassing and unlawfully in a building, were put in jail for a number of years. That was very, very much disparate treatment.
Could not agree more. I know many people whose lives were ruined, many people whose families were destroyed by overzealous prosecution. Seems that J.P. Cooney, the prosecutor who prosecuted me, it's interesting, the same week I was convicted, he announced that based on his investigation, there would be no charges brought against Andrew McCabe, the epically corrupt deputy director of the FBI, whose legal transgressions far more serious than those leveled against me. I had to wait until a federal judge ordered the Department of Justice to release Robert Mueller's final, heavily redacted report to find that even he couldn't sugarcoat the fact that, as far as I was concerned, he'd found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other illegal act on my part. Therefore, I find it almost comical to see these talking heads on MSNBC and CNN or in the pages of the once great New York Times continuing to insist that the prosecution, say, of FBI Director James Comey is completely and totally politically motivated and without any basis, which is an absurdity because he testified under oath that he had not leaked, nor had he directed anyone else to leak classified information in order to embarrass Donald Trump, when in fact there's sworn testimony from both a classmate of his, a gentleman named Richmond, Andrew McCabe, the acting director, that he did exactly that. Hopefully we are going to rebalance the scales of justice. We're going to move to a one-tiered justice system. But folks should not get their hopes up yet. The events surrounding the very quick and last-minute indictment of James Comey, the FBI director, indicate to me that there is no master plan. We know that the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Mr. Metcalf, has not called a single witness. And then I just read recently that Eric Siebert, who was the prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia, never called on Mr. McCabe to ask him about his interactions with James Comey, leading me to believe that he conducted no investigation whatsoever. Anyway, we have to leave it there. I want to thank Stephen Sund, the former chief of the Capitol Hill Police. Again, his book, Courage Under Fire, you can get that at Amazon. Highly recommend it to you. It was an Amazon #1 bestseller. Chief Sund, thank you for joining us, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Angel Arfick, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Roger Stone Show. You can hear The Roger Stone Show Sunday afternoons at 3. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
This Sunday is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Walk Run, and our team is in need of your support. Right now, every dollar counts. The WABC hosts must all rally their loyal audience to participate. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk and help your favorite hosts right here at WABC and support the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk. Help WABC raise money for the amazing Tunnel to Towers Foundation Walk Run. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk.